What I would say is that life is full of pain. It is full of pain.
What they say in
But
the embrace the
goddammit,
suck.
Yeah, but
Gotta
it
embrace
is.
the suck
It is worth
sometimes.
living. This life is worth living. It's full of pain, but goddamn it, it's worth living. I think mental health, I think we are definitely getting a handle on mental health. I really do. I mean, as a society, as a whole,
Yeah,
as you know, the organization, Wounded Warrior Project, the VA, work needs to still be done. But I think as a whole, we're talking about it and it's out there. We got to get back to concentrating on the physical health as well. I think we do. I think we are not afraid as we were to talk about mental health, and I think we have to continue to talk about it and have those conversations, and not be afraid to have those conversations. But I think we are definitely getting a handle on that.
And I think also with mental health, my whole family, like both grandfathers, my mother, my father, my brother, myself, we're all different types of veterans with different types of experiences. So my mother, like I said, she's older, you know, she's in certain ways. She's just now talking about some of the things that she went through.
Right.
And my father never talked about it.
Right.
And so there's kind of like a little bit of a lag time between understanding that then it wasn't okay and the stigma was so real.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're so free to talk
Our
about it, which is
generation of warriors.
amazing. But then there's a little bit of lag time where they're like, you guys are soft, like just suck it up and drive on. And so it's like helpful to explain, like, I am so sorry that you couldn't talk about that in your time. And you can still talk about it now if you want to. And you don't have to, you know, but it's giving people permission and also kind of explaining to the different generations on why it's helpful to talk about it, because we all talk about like the different VSOs and stuff like that. And some of them, you know, it was kind of like a place to hang out and drink with your buddies and release that way. Well, my dad's a Vietnam vet who died from alcoholism because that's how he chose to deal with his pain. And so I know for me, that's not an option. So what can I do? I'm not gonna go to that particular VSO. And even like the physical health stuff, like, and getting together with the different programs like in Wounded Warrior Project, that helps me have like a healthy outlet where I am connecting with people, where I'm like, you know, having conversations with, you know, women vets who just got out, with women vets who've been out.
Education.
And education.
In a
like,
safe
in a
environment.
safe environment where I know
Yes.
you're not gonna judge me, your experiences
Exactly.
are different.
Right.
But we all served. And that's where I think the commonality comes. And I think then if an older veteran like doesn't wanna talk about certain things, they might feel maybe more comfortable with letting whatever they can out.
But you know, they may not talk about it with, say, me and you, but at those places, at the barbershop, at the whatever, they do talk about it. And we have to let them, not have to let them, but that's their outlet. That's the way they get to do that. Now, some did it like your dad, unfortunately, with, you know, alcohol or drugs and that. And you know, that's just unfortunate. And it, you know, may sound a little mean, but that's just how it was back then.
Right.
My mom, when I grew up, my mom and my grandmother, they whooped the crap out of us. I vowed not to whoop my kids. I didn't want to spank them. You know, so everything we grow, we learn, trying to be better. You know, we want to leave the place better than we found it. And I can understand what your dad is saying about the, because it kind of leads me maybe into the victim mentality, right? Or being a victim. When he was saying, you made the comment that your dad says, they're soft in this. I get it, because sometimes I think the same thing, like, damn, are we crying? You're crying, you're whining, not the victim mentality. And to me, it's different than being a victim. I think we've all been a victim of something, whether it's tragic, like some things I've been through, or things you've been through, or whether it's mild things. And I just think when you use the victim mentality, you know, like the woe is me, or you're always complaining about something. You're always, you know, you're not taking responsibility. You're not, you know, trying to seem like you're so powerless. And I think for me, of course, I didn't ask for help. Again, those were the times I had to do my job and take care of my family. The military for me, the Army that came first. That came, and my family knew that came first. So with all that, with the childhood trauma, military trauma, I pushed that stuff so far down on the bottom of my feet that I was walking on it. And I think from that, with that being on the bottom of my feet, it just propelled me to succeed. It just propelled me to do more, to do better. Right. And then, of course, you know, it got to a point. It never bothered me. Let me say that. And that was just my experience, right? It never bothered me. It never came across my mind until, say, this aha moment, my last deployment in Afghanistan. Just all that just
came to the
it did
came to the surface.
And all these, and it was all men. And all these young men coming off the battlefield and coming off the battlefield and coming off the battlefield. And it was one Afghan baby. He had been no more than about 3 or 4. And, you know, they had all the things in the ground there, and playing kickball outside, and blew both of his legs off. So we had him in the hospital there on the base, and it just, I couldn't. And then from there, all these memories start coming up.
Yeah, it's
and
like
all
it's
these,
like
so
a
that was the aha,
thread.
not aha in a good way, but all these memories started coming up and coming up. Now I knew I still had a job to do. I couldn't go and,
So
you
you
know,
had
I
to
was
block
not,
it?
I was not going to say, hey, I'm this, no. I had to learn that mental fortitude kicked in as well. Hey, nope, we're gonna deal with that. But then, you know, when I got back, and it just kept bothering me, and it kept bothering me, and kept bothering me.
Right.
And I went through all of that for about 9 years, just the depression and trying to figure out what to do. And that one day, and I was about to drive off a bridge, and again, that mental fortitude said, girl, if you don't get your behind somewhere and get some doggone help, you will not leave a legacy of suicide for them sons that you don't whoop, right?
Right.
They got to carry on that good thing. So yeah, and I just went up to, I was in Virginia, and I went to Fort Belvoir.
So that
hospital.
bridge was your turning point?
That bridge was my
like,
turning
I need
point.
some help.
Yeah, I need
And how
some
many
help.
years later was that when you was out the military?
Well, I retired in 2014. I got back from Afghanistan in 2012. So it was like a total of 9 years,
After
just
that.
kind of, and it was just to, you know, I had to get the right help, and I had to get the right dosage for because I was on pain medication, sleep medication, all kind of you know, and I had to get the right, and it took some time.
Right.
You know, I had to change physicians, you know, some of them we worked well, and some of us we didn't, and that's okay. And I had some not difficult times changing, because I just, I pretty much, they worked with me pretty well, you know. But I did have to change some different physicians and that kind of thing. So,
Right.
yeah,
So what would be your recommendation for a veteran that's in now, and they come out with you? Tell them to wait or get help, or maybe they may not even notice.
And they may not know, because I
Notice.
didn't know. I was just driving on, and I just nobody knew. I just didn't know, and I didn't say anything, you know. And maybe we'll talk about that too, by not saying anything because of my
builds.
job and my position. But what I would say is that life is full of pain. It is full of pain.
But they say
But
embrace
goddamn
the
it,
suck.
Yeah, but
Gotta
it
embrace the
is.
suck
It is worth
sometimes.
living. This life is worth living. It's full of pain, but goddamn it, it's worth living.
And I think
It is.
too, like, I think the misconception about, you know, trauma and the things that we go through, like, completely can, for one person, it can propel them to do great things because we're running from it, or we're stepping on it, and it just
We're
boosts
just
us up.
keeping. We're just keeping
We're
busy.
keeping it,
like
yeah,
you
keeping
just
right.
kept
and
busy.
actually, like, PTSD in women veterans, actually being overproductive and being productive and doing all the things, women are great at that. We're so good at keeping busy. Because if we stop and we full stop, then all that's gonna catch up with us, like all of it. And God forbid we just stop and deal with what is in front of us, which is normal, and it's okay.
That's why it's okay to talk
Right,
about it
and
now,
that's
to
what I
have
mean.
these
So I think when you were
conversations.
asking,
Right.
like, well, would you have chosen to go through the 9 years and everything like that? And when I hear that, I'm like, I remember how I let my trauma from what I went through, like, it was driving my bus, and I had no idea it was driving my bus for so long. So what I like about mental health being kind of a non-taboo topic in today is that if you notice something, it's okay to get help the moment you
sense
notice
something
it.
is off. Yep.
That
Yeah.
you don't have to. I do not
Yeah.
like I do not want my children to go through the years and decades of silence that I went through, suffering by myself, trying to fix it, trying to fix me, so that, because God, like, it's almost like if I couldn't perform, if I couldn't succeed, if I couldn't do this, there was like something wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me. I was just reacting to the undealt with trauma.
Right.
Right.
And it opens the floodgates. All that stuff, like you talked about, everything comes back up. But it always comes back up for you to like face it and be like, but I'm still here.
And we have to, again, I love these kind of conversations because we have to continue to educate. We have to continue to put the word out there. We have to continue to say there is help out there. We got to continue to say, hey, I'll help you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here for you, or that kind of thing.
And if I can't, here's the person who can.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my mental health journey started when I was 18. I'm gonna put my business in 1995. Went to college and knew that there was a disconnect. Like I just didn't fit into this culture.
What culture?
I went to the University of Notre Dame.
Okay.
So predominantly white, Catholic, affluent, privileged, and I'm from the inner city of Chicago, primarily raised by my grandmother. So it was difficult, and that culture shock, it hit me dead on. And so I started working with a psychologist at 18, and I saw him all 5 years that I was there. So when I went to Iraq and I lost my arm, I didn't care about people thinking that if I went to seek help, that it was a stigma, this and that. And plus I had tools in my toolbox to help me out. So I knew not to abuse prescribed medication. I knew not to abuse liquor. I knew, hey, talk to my husband, talk to the doctor, you know, do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
You gonna give me some dab there?
My arms are
Do
short.
that's all good. Do
Yeah,
some self-reflection, and
yeah.
then just reach out if you need
Yeah.
it. My whole concept was I'm not going to grow back an arm.
That's right.
So this is who you are. So you have to be comfortable with who you are. Now I'm not going to say every day is not a struggle of
Right.
sort, because it's men, people, women are not used to seeing women with missing
Yeah.
limbs,
Especially not a black woman.
and not
let's
a
be
black
real. Yeah.
woman. And so that's something I don't want to say I struggle with almost every day, but you know, it's a struggle because I got a
thing.
piece of appliance here.
Right.
That's part of me, but I don't let it deter me
you go.
from where I'm trying to go. And so I don't mind going out to speak on, it's not about the missing arm,
Right.
but it's
Right.
about
The resilience.
It's about the resiliency, overcoming the obstacles,
Yeah.
you know, being
The mental
strong,
fortitude,
the
yeah.
mental fortitude.
Yeah.
And so that's my whole message.
Yeah.
And if something else beautiful, which my son came out of
Right.
it, and Robert came, and a whole organization, then that's what it's
Yeah.
about. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess that's kind of how I felt with, you know, growing up, how I grew up. It's so much different now. Again, like we're saying, we can talk about these things and
Yeah.
that.
Right.
I bet not had to told nobody what was going on when I grew up. Oh, you better hush, or
Right.
you better go sit your little fast behind down somewhere. Now, again, it didn't affect me to a point where it stopped me from excelling or exceeding. It gave me a different type of push. Now, although I didn't seek help until later, well, hell, I ain't think nothing was wrong because I'm chilling.
Right.
Really, it was not, really, and I didn't realize that until that aha moment. I knew those things had happened. I knew those bad things had happened, but I'm like, okay.
But like Jessica said, at some point your brain finally had a time
Yeah,
to
at some
like
point we have
settle
to,
in. Yeah,
because
and
what's-
then it came,
There
that
you
flooding.
go, because the biggest lie is the lie we do what? The lie we tell ourselves.
Yep.
So, and it's not that like I was lying to myself, I just didn't
You would just
know.
go,
for
go, go, go,
survival,
go.
and that's the other
Right.
thing that we
I don't
forget.
even know if it was survival.
It's- well, our
it was-
brain
yeah.
compartmentalizes, but our brain can only. It's like a pitcher of water. You know, you can only put so much in that pitcher of water before it starts to overflow. It's like if you've had a really bad day and you stub your toe, and then like you just like all the things of the bad day just come out, but you really only just stubbed your toe. You're like, it's not like a big deal,
Right, and that's-
right? And then it
yeah,
comes up.
yeah,
So it's
right.
just
Yeah.
like I really am appreciative of at least the now times, because it's okay to talk about and also to do it with grace and non-shaming. Like
Yes.
you
And
only
not be guilty.
and not be guilty. Like even though like my parents raised me how they raised me, and we have the effects because of their choices. They were just doing the best that they could at the time.
And you had to think about their generation
Yes.
before
That's what I'm
them.
saying.
And that's
Because
and then
know,
I
so,
tell my
yeah, that's
children
how
like,
it
hey,
was.
I was just doing the best that I could at the time, just like you're doing the best that you can at the time. But guess what? Here's more tools to where if they do have like any kind of issues or problems, they're not ashamed to go to therapy. Like, it took me forever because what happens in this house stays in this house. And like, it took me forever to like,
that was
Right, and
that
those family
generation.
to like, that was
secrets
family
will-
and like that
them-
stuff.
them
And so
family
that
secrets
took
will-
me
will be-
forever
can be
to even
detrimental.
just be okay with
Yeah.
being like, let me talk to somebody. And then I became a therapist because I really was curious about how to understand my own life. And I always tell my kids, like, if you don't mesh with somebody that you're talking to, like you said about the doctors, get a different one.
Get a different one.
Because they're people too. And it just brings you to the journey of like self-discovery, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. So you can look at your life and be like, all this bad stuff is happening or happened, but it is what it is. And I'm okay. And facing
okay.
it and moving through
And
it.
those are some of the things. Those are
And
the
it's
things
scary
that,
to face
being
it.
that you are a victim to. You made a comment about what goes on in this house stays in this
Yeah.
house, and that was the mentality back then.
Yes.
But it's not anymore.
Yes.
And it
Right.
well, it should not be. And I
shouldn't
think
be.
it's gotten so much better where people. Because now if you go to the women's, I don't know about in the men's bathroom. Anybody?
Yeah.
But in the women's bathroom,
The
right?
human trafficking, the being
in the
abused.
public women's, they
Yeah.
have human. Then they have a number. Are you being abused? Are you? Hell, you can see it. He's standing right outside the door. Just come help.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So it's so many things that have improved for us, and it's still going to improve. I think for not just for women, but as a society,
Society.
period, that it will, because that's how it was when I grew up. Because I used to be mad at my mom. Then I realized you can't be, because she did the best she could with what she had.